Welcome to another episode of Management Unplugged by GR. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a truly gripping, real-world story. It's about a company facing, well, an existential crisis, a tale of radical choices and how leaders navigate, seemingly impossible situations.
Yeah, it's a classic high-stakes dilemma, one that leaders across industries find themselves in when the waters get incredibly choppy. We're going to trace the journey of one CEO who stepped into what looked like, frankly, an unwinnable fight.
All right, let's unpack this then. Imagine a massive $6.6 billion auto parts company. Let's call them TAP. The year is 2008, and the entire automotive industry is just in a catastrophic tailspin.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking giants like General Motors,
Yeah.
Chrysler is literally on the brink of collapse.
And unsurprisingly, TAP is bleeding money, deep in the red.
The financial reality for TIPA was dire, really stark. By the end of 2008, their financial statement showed a negative operating income of $357 million.
Wow.
And negative cash flow of $81 million. Their parent company delivered a pretty unambiguous ultimatum.
Which was?
Achieve an 8% return on capital, employed what we often call ROCE, that critical metric showing how efficiently a company uses its capital.
Right, to generate profits.
Exactly. Achieve that 8% ROCE by 2011 and maintain positive cash flow. Or TAP would simply be divested, sold off, or just shut down.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, immense pressure.
Faced with that kind of thing, a lot of leaders might just think about drastic cost-cutting, right? Just slash everything.
That's often the first instinct. But Ellen Bright, a veteran from the auto and aerospace industries, she was brought in specifically to turn the ship around. She knew she had absolutely no room for error.
So what was her first big move? Was it radical?
Her first move was incredibly bold.
Yeah.
Instead of just like tinkering around the edges,
Yeah.
she decided to completely shut down TAP's unprofitable truck and mid-price divisions.
Wow, just shut them down.
Yep, the ones primarily based in the U.S. Gone.
Shutting down entire divisions, that sounds like a massive upheaval, especially for an auto company already in crisis. What was the strategic logic there? Beyond just stopping the immediate bleeding, I mean.
Exactly. That's the key point. This wasn't just cost-cutting. It was a complete strategic pivot, a fundamental shift. The goal was to laser-focus the company's severely limited resources on two very specific, high-potential areas.
Okay, which were?
The high-end luxury division, mostly served from Europe, and the growing economy division with a strong emphasis on Asia. They identified these as the market segments with the most significant profit potential, even in a downturn like that one.
Okay, so with this new kind of radical direction set, Ellen Bright put two leaders in charge of these remaining divisions. Strong leaders, I gather, but different.
Very different. First, there was Aaron Eckhart. He took the reins of the luxury division.
All right. And what was his playbook for navigating that high-end market?
Yeah. Eckhart's strategy for luxury was pretty straightforward, conceptually at least. Focus relentlessly on being the most innovative, the most technologically superior parts producer out there.
Sort of a build it and they will come approach?
Almost exactly, yeah. Their motto was basically, if we build the coolest stuff, they will come. They aim to attract those high-end car makers by being at the absolute forefront of design and tech.
Makes sense. You think about luxury innovations, satellite radio, Bluetooth.
Right. Those things often filter down eventually. Aaron believed that by being the first, by creating those cutting-edge components, they'd capture that premium market share.
Okay. And then there was Kim Kwan leading the economy division. His approach was quite different from Aaron's and maybe unusual for that segment.
Very different and, yes, quite unique. What's truly fascinating here is that while most competitors in the economy segment just focused on driving down the lowest initial cost.
Cheapest sticker price.
Exactly. Kim Kwan aimed to differentiate differently by producing high-quality, durable parts with the lowest lifetime price.
So not just cheap up front, but better value over the long haul.
Precisely. And this required a deep, deep commitment to mastering things like just-in-time JIT and lean manufacturing processes.
Okay, maybe quickly unpack those for listeners who aren't deep in manufacturing jargon, JIT and lean.
Sure, good point. Just-in-time, or JIT, basically means components arrive exactly when they're needed in the production process. It minimizes inventory, storage costs, all that. And lean manufacturing is all about optimizing every single step to reduce waste and improve efficiency, streamlining everything.
Got it. So Kim thought they needed to be the best at this stuff.
Not just competent. He believed they had to be the absolute best in these areas, especially if they wanted to thrive in that highly competitive, rapidly growing Asian market. It was definitely a long-term play, prioritizing quality and efficiency over just being the cheapest upfront supplier.
So Ellen Bright has these two crucial divisions, each with a really distinct strategy. How did she actually track their progress? How did she make sure everyone was like rowing in the same direction, especially with such a massive turnaround on the line?
Yeah, that's critical. To do that, she introduced a really powerful management tool, the balance scorecard.
Okay, the balance scorecard. What exactly is that for those who might not be familiar? It sounds like it's more than just a financial report card.
Oh, much more. You're absolutely right. Simply put, it's a report card, yeah. But it measures performance across 4 key areas or perspectives.
Mhm.
It's not just looking at financial numbers like profit or revenue, which are obviously important.
But it also includes things like customer satisfaction, how well the internal processes are running.
Exactly. And even things like employee learning and growth.
Yeah.
How much are your people developing new skills? Are they engaged?
So you're getting a much broader view than just the bottom line.
That's the idea, a holistic view. And the core concept is cause and effect. It links these perspectives. For example, investing in employee training and development, that's the learning and growth perspective, that should lead to better internal processes.
Right. Makes sense. Better trained people, better processes.
And those better processes, they should result in more satisfied customers, which ultimately drives improved financial results. It's really designed to stop companies focusing too much on just short-term financial gains, potentially at the expense of long-term health.
So it helps you see the connections and maybe spot problems earlier.
Precisely. It helps distinguish between leading indicators, things you can influence more immediately, like, say, the number of machines getting proper maintenance,
Yeah.
and lagging indicators, like your ROCE, which only really improve after the strategy's been working for a while, and those leading indicators have had time to take effect.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So Ellen Bright introduces this powerful tool, the balanced scorecard. Now, how did these two very distinct leaders, Aaron and Kim, actually implement it? Did they see eye to eye on how to use this new compass?
Not at all. Not even close. This is where it gets really, really interesting. Their philosophies clashed quite a bit.
How so? Let's start with Aaron in the luxury division.
Aaron Eckert, yeah. He believed firmly that less is more, keep it simple. He kept his scorecard incredibly lean, focusing on just a handful of key measures.
So Aaron's approach was very focused, almost lean and mean, heavy on the financials, trusting the rest would sort of follow.
You hit it. That's a good way to put it. He primarily tracked financial drivers: revenue, cash flow, gross margin, ROCE. Very traditional metrics. He did include a few customer and process innovation metrics, but the emphasis was clear.
What was his thinking behind that? Just avoid complexity?
His philosophy was basically, if employees are happy today, customers will be happy tomorrow, and shareholders will be happy the day after, a kind of linear progression. He genuinely felt that too many goals, too much data, could just overwhelm the team and dilute their focus from those core financial targets.
Okay, I can see the logic, but what are the risks? Especially for a company trying to execute a major turnaround, you might miss something important, right?
That's the inherent risk, exactly.
Yeah.
By simplifying too much, you might completely miss early warning signs in those non-financial areas. Quality dips, employee morale issues, things that could seriously impact long-term health, even if the short-term financials look okay.
All right. But Kim Kwan over in the economy division, he took almost the exact opposite approach, didn't he?
He did. Polar opposites, really. Kim created a much, much more detailed scorecard. It was packed with strategic objectives, many more dials to watch.
He had that pilot analogy, right?
Yeah, famously. He compared his job to a pilot flying a plane. A pilot doesn't just worry about altitude. They need to constantly watch airspeed, fuel levels, trajectory, weather conditions, all these things at once to fly safely and reach the destination.
That's a powerful analogy. It really captures that feeling of juggling dozens of things simultaneously. Anyone who's managed a complex project knows that feeling.
Absolutely. And Kim believed they had to manage all these factors simultaneously, too. His scorecard reflected that.
What kind of specifics did Kim's more detailed scorecard include then?
Oh, it covered a lot. Everything from enhancing workforce capabilities and total quality management, or TQM.
Which, just quickly, TQM isn't just about catching errors at the end, right? It's more fundamental.
Exactly. It's about building quality into every single part of the process from the ground up. So he tracked that. He tracked improvements in supplier performance, and he meticulously tracked efforts to eliminate defects, often measured in ppm or parts per million. That's how many defective parts you have for every million you produce.
Tiny numbers, but critical for quality.
Absolutely critical, especially for his strategy. He felt all these dials needed close watching if they truly wanted to reach their strategic destination. delivering those high-quality, lowest lifetime cost parts.
Okay, so fast forward 6 months. It's the summer of 2009. Ellen Bright calls these crucial quarterly review meetings. And let's not forget, both Aaron and Kim were apparently vying for a vacant chief operating officer position. So these results were critical. High stakes personally, too.
Huge stakes.
Yeah.
For the company's survival and for their own careers, definitely.
So how did their very different scorecard philosophies actually play out in the results?
Well, the balanced scorecard showed a really fascinating divergence, a stark contrast. Let's start with Aaron Eckhart's luxury division again.
Okay, the less is more guy. How'd they do?
Financially, they absolutely smashed their targets. I mean, really knocked it out of the park on the money side.
Give us the numbers.
Their return on capital employed, the ROCE target, was -7%. They actually hit a +4%.
Wow, huge swing.
Huge. Their year-to-date cash flow from operating activities target was -$12 million. They delivered +$8 million.
Again, impressive turnaround on cash.
And their gross margin hit 15% against a 14% target. So, on the surface, immediate, undeniable financial success.
Looks great on the financial page, but what about the other parts of the scorecard? The non-financials Aaron wasn't focusing on as much.
Well, that's where the picture gets a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, their non-financial goals weren't quite as stellar. Their defect rates, for instance, measured in ppm, actually slightly worsened. They hit 5 ppm against a target of 3 ppm.
So quality slipped a bit despite the profit.
A little bit, yeah. And maybe more concerning, employee satisfaction and engagement percentages were well below target. They hit 62% and 65% respectively against an 80% target for both.
Oof. So the people weren't feeling it as much.
It seems not. So while they maintained high marks for innovation, which was core to Aaron's strategy, some of those critical quality and people indicators definitely dipped. Red flags, perhaps.
Okay. Now let's flip over to Kim Kwan's economy division. The pilot with many dials guy. Their story was a stark contrast financially, wasn't it?
A complete contrast, yes. Financially, they missed their targets. Pretty badly, actually.
How badly?
Their ROCE was -12%. The target was -7%, so worse than planned. Their cash flow was -$14 million against a -$12 million target. Also missed. And their gross margin was lower than projected, too. So purely looking at that financial scorecard, they struggle in the short term.
And this is the big but, isn't it? How do they do on all those non-financial goals Kim was tracking so closely?
Now they absolutely aced it across the board. They dramatically improved processes. They heavily invested in training employees in JIT and TQM, exceeding their targets for certified employees and overall training hours.
So they were building capability.
Exactly. Building that foundation. And they really got their suppliers whipped into shape. 78% of suppliers received an A rating against a 75% target. Plus, remember Aaron's defect rate worsened slightly. Kim's improved. They hit 4 ppm against a 5 ppm target, so real measurable quality improvement was happening.
Okay, so Kim's division, while losing more money short term, was hitting all the marks on operations, people, suppliers, quality.
Precisely. This division was perfectly positioning itself for future growth. They were building that strong, high-quality foundation needed for long-term success. It was all about achieving operational excellence, investing in people, fixing the supply chain, building the core capabilities necessary for that lowest lifetime price strategy to actually work down the road.
Right. So let's picture Ellen Bright again. She's staring at these two scorecards. It's a real dilemma. On one hand, you've got the luxury division, delivered immediate profits, immediate cash flow, which is incredibly important, especially when the parent company is breathing down your neck in a crisis.
Absolutely crucial for short-term survival, you could argue.
But on the other hand, you have the economy division, losing money right now. But they've clearly built a much more robust foundation. They've got their operations humming, their people trained, their suppliers aligned. They look ready for future growth.
Yeah, they've laid the groundwork. They've invested in the leading indicators.
So this raises that fundamental question. Who truly performed better in this scenario? Was it Aaron hitting the money targets now, but maybe neglecting some long-term fundamentals, letting quality slip, maybe burning out his people? Or was it Kim who lost money in the short term, but very clearly built a strong, sustainable foundation for the future, investing in the things that should lead to profit later?
It's a classic management conundrum, isn't it? There's no easy answer.
Especially with both Aaron and Kim vying for that COO job. Talk about pressure on Ellen to make the right call and send the right signal about what performance really means at a tap.
Exactly. If you were Ellen Bright, how would you define performance here? What signals do you want to send? What do you prioritize in that moment? Short-term survival versus long-term health.
It's tough. Ultimately, Ellen Bright's decision would probably hinge on her assessment of the immediate threat versus the long-term vision, right?
Yeah, her long-term strategic vision for TAP, definitely.
Hmm.
And how dire she felt that solvency crisis truly was. Was immediate cash paramount, even if it meant sacrificing some future potential? Or did that parent company ultimatum positive cash flow and 8% ROCE by 2011, did that inherently imply a need for the kind of long-term sustainability Kim's actions were building, even if the financials lagged initially?
This whole story really highlights that a balanced scorecard isn't just some passive reporting tool, is it? It's more like a strategic mirror. It forces you as a leader to really confront what you value, what you prioritize for the company's future.
Absolutely. It forces you to define success beyond just the quarterly bottom line, especially when you're facing incredibly tough choices like these.
And the answer, as this story shows, isn't always clear-cut. It often depends on your specific circumstances, your immediate pressures versus your long-term aspirations.
And ultimately, what you believe will truly sustain the company. Not just for the next quarter, but for the next decade. Makes you think.